Welcome to the Room 19 Awards. I'm your host, Mr. McGensy. I'm so excited to have you with us tonight. The Room 19 Awards are an opportunity to honor our students for who they are as people. We talked a lot in class this year about how academics are important, but who you are as a person, your character is just equally as important. So this is an opportunity to honor those qualities within our students. The awards are voted on by the students as well. I wish we could be doing this in person, but because of school closures, obviously we can't. But I just felt it was important to continue this tradition that I started last year because the kids loved it so much. So let's jump right in. But first, I'm going to start with Taha. And Taha gets the tidiest desk award. Taha made sure his desk was clean all day. His desk was never dirty. In his desk was clean, on top of his desk, next to his desk. He kept it clean at all times. At the end of the day, I would do like a prize for a few kids that got their desk clean first, just to kind of help me clean up the room. And he could be on the opposite side of the room. I would say go. He would all he has to do is walk to his desk and sit down, and he would win. And that's how clean he kept his desk. I imagine his room is probably the same way. Hopefully it is. Next up is Alex, and Alex gets the Great Friend Award. I could sit Alex next to anybody in class, and he would just naturally just get along with them. His friends could always count on him being kind and caring and compassionate. So he's just a great young man to have in class this year. Next up is Tanishka for Best Actress. In the class, we did quite a bit of acting, and she always would come up with these great characters, have these great songs, and even costumes she would come up with, and it would always just have us laughing and engaged. I know she was also a part of the musical the school was going to put on this year, and so I just think if you keep acting, Tanishka, you're going to go very far with that. Next up is Addison, and she gets Best Helper. Early on in the year, her mom told me Addison just loves to help, and I just found that to be true all year. She would help me, she would help her other classmates, she would help in the library. Anybody that needed help, Addison was there for them. And that's just a great quality to have, Addison. Keep it up, keep being helpful. It's going to take you far in life. Next up is Alea, and Alea gets the Positive Thinker Award. Alea never saw a task as too hard. She would always just do her best. She never give up on herself. She would encourage others when they felt like they couldn't do it. She would step in and be like, "Hey, I can help you out." And we talked a lot this school year about not getting into the dip, right? We're learning something new. It's too hard, and we talked about not putting herself in that dip where we give up. And she never did. She just always was positive. Great job, Alea. Next up is Aiden, and he gets the Best Problem Solver Award. Hayden was always solving problems in the classroom, on the playground. I could always count on him to help solve people's problems. Sometimes I would even give some harder problems to the kids that were done in class, some academic problems, and he would just sit there and just stare at the paper, wouldn't say a word. Not it was hard, not that he couldn't do it, not that it was easy. He would just sit there, and some of the other kids may not be getting it, and I could start hearing some rumblings, and he would just stare, and then he would just start writing, and he'd be done, and he would just figure it out, and there was no problem too big or too small for Aiden. Dashka, and she gets Best Smile. I mean, you can look at this picture right here and see why she won that award. She would greet me every morning with a big smile. It just was very contagious. Even if she was in class, maybe she's off task a little bit, and I'd say, "Hey, Dashka, what are you doing?" She would turn around with that big smile, and it would just be so hard to get upset with her. So I'm gonna miss having her in class and seeing that smile. Next up is Naya, and Naya gets the most cheerful. Naya joined us kind of mid-year, around the second quarter, and she just brought a lot of cheer, positive spirit to our classroom. I could always count on her. She never got too high, never got too low, which is very consistent. Always just had a smile to give us. Always had a positive thing to add. She always saw the positive in others, and so she's just a wonderful young lady. Next up is Josiah, and he gets the most improved. Josiah and I have had many conversations just on who he wants to be and how he wants to grow, and he just put in a lot of work to start to meet those goals. And he was just really hitting his stride right before school closures happened. So I'm just excited to see his continued growth in the years to come. Next up is Mr. Jameson. Me and James had a lot of fun this year. He just excels academically and especially in the math. And I know he really wanted this award, and so I'm glad he got it. Sometimes I would even send him to fifth grade to do some fifth grade math because he would kind of get our stuff done a little bit quicker. And he'd go in there and he'd come back. And I was like, "How you do, Jameson?" He goes, "I think I only missed one problem." And so he just had a lot of confidence in himself, which is great. And so I'm excited to see what he continues to do in life. Next up is Dylan, and Dylan gets Computer Whiz. There's a computer program I have on my computer, the kids have on theirs, and it just allowed me to see what they were doing. I could control their computer if I needed to, and he would always try to find ways around the program. Not that he was ever doing anything wrong, he just thought it was fun to beat the system. And so he would try to figure something out and be like, tell the kids, look what I found out. And then I'd have to go find a way to stop what he was doing. It was just a little game we had going back and forth with each other, which was a lot of fun this year. Next up is Max. Max gets awesome athlete. And I think one of the reasons Max got off awesome athlete is not just because of his athletic ability, but it's his leadership skills. I talked to Max a lot about how he was a leader and he had the ability to get other people to come around him to listen to him and believe in him. And he would take that out on the sports field. He would come up with a great strategy, and he would get the buy-in from his teammates, and that allowed him to have a lot of success throughout the year. I just think he's going to be an awesome leader as he continues to move forward in life. Next up is Gio, and Gio gets great sportsmanship award. Whether he won or he lost, Gio was just very gracious. If he won and he won a prize, he would want to share it with his classmates. If he didn't win, he was very congratulatory to the person that did win. So Gio was just a great sportsman throughout the year. He's just a great student, a great young man through and through. Vanessa, and she gets best teammate. One of the one of the things that I really enjoyed with Vanessa this year was out on the soccer field, and she would sometimes play defense out there, and she would just always be cheering on her classmates. Good job, you're doing great. And then she'd look over at me and be like, Mr. McGensy, what am I supposed to be doing? And so even though she didn't know what she was doing, she knew what everybody else was doing. They looked good doing it, so she was just cheering them on. And during the school year, I would have the kids do a survey, and it was a check-in survey. How are you doing academically, socially? And part of it was like, who in class are you getting along with? Maybe who in class are you not getting along with? And she would just write the nicest things about her classmates, just about who they are as people and the qualities that she saw in them. And she would write those to me, and I would almost like start crying because just how sweet those letters were. She was just a great teammate. Next up is Isaac, and he gets creative thinker. During those monthly STEAM projects we would do, I'd have the kids vote on, which project they liked the most, and he was consistently winning that. He would just come up with the most creative things. The one that he came up with that I had never thought about was one for like a lollipop. You take the wrapper off, sometimes you throw it away, and then you have a lollipop. And you're like, what do I need to? I need to do something. Where do I put it down? And he came up with a lollipop cover, and it was just like the most creative thing. He just took like a little egg, those little plastic eggs you use for Easter, cut a hole in the bottom, and just snapped it over the lollipop. And the whole class was like, "This is amazing!" And it was just so simple. So I just excited to see what other inventions he comes up with in the future. Next up is Devin, and he gets most dependable, which is a great word, I think, to describe Devin. I could count on him to always turn in his best work, always to be kind and caring to his classmates. And his classmates could always count on him. He was available to help. He was always a great teammate out on the field, and he was just consistent. He's just a great young man, and I was so glad to have him in class this year. Next up is Melody, and she gets awesome attitude. And she does have an awesome attitude. always has a smile on her face, always has something positive to say about other people. Even when things weren't going so great, she just was always positive and just always had a great attitude about things. So she was just a joy to have in class. I know a lot of teachers around this campus just loved Melody because she would smile, go give them a hug, and she just took her positive attitude all around the campus and just had a positive impact. Next up is Juliana, and she gets hardest worker. Juliana worked really, really, really hard this year. She would do her work, she would get it done, bring it to me. I'd be like, hey, you got to make some changes. She'd go back and do it. If I felt she needed to make some more changes, she'd go back and do it. She just worked hard. Early on, I went and talked to her third grade teacher because I just wanted to get to know more about all my students. And that's the word she said. She said, Juliana's going to work hard for you. And she did throughout the year. And being a hard worker is just something that's going to take you very far in life, Juliana. So continue to work hard. Next up is Aiden, and he gets the Caring Classmate Award. Aiden was somehow always knew what other people were feeling or going through. He'd be like, Mr. McGensy, you need to go check on this student. Mr. McGensy, this student's bleeding. Like, at all times, he just kind of knew what people were going through and what people were feeling. It was just like a natural instinct he had. And he's just so caring. He's an awesome young man. He's also very creative in the way his mind thinks and processes things. So, Aiden, you're awesome, and you just keep being you, bud. Next up is Elizabeth, and she gets the Fashion Expert Award. Elizabeth always came to school very stylish, and I mean, look at the picture right there with her her cheer outfit. So great job, Elizabeth was awesome to have in class. Always just positive, worked hard, and she's just an awesome young lady. Next up is Eilena, and she gets the Awesome Artist Award. Whenever we would do art projects or they would have to do some type of drawing with the work they were turning in, Eilena always spent a lot of time, was very detailed in what she did. I mean, she would just be zoned in when it came to art, and she turned in awesome work. And I at one point I went and got her some drawing pencils because she just loved to draw, and the work she did with those drawing pencils was awesome. And she's a great artist and an awesome young lady. And now we have Maddie, and Maddie gets the Story Writer Award. Early on in the school year, first writing that I had them do, I really didn't give them much guidance. I just wanted to see what the students would naturally do. And I mean, she just turned in an amazing paper. The paper she turned in the first month of school was what I would expect a fourth grader to turn in at the end of the year. And throughout the year, she just continued to grow in her writing. She allowed me to push her to get more complex in her writing, to get a little bit more detailed. And she just started knocking out great papers. Even during this distancing place, she continued to write. She even wrote an opinion paper because I'm not a cat person, and she said she just took it upon herself to write an opinion paper on why cats are better than dogs. And so she just loves to write. She's an amazing writer, so keep writing, Maddie. All right, that is the end of our Room 19 awards. Again, thank you so much for joining me. And so after this, you should have gotten the link to our Zoom after party where you can come talk to me, tell me what you think about the awards you won. And again, you guys are an amazing class. I'm so glad. I was so honored and blessed to have you as my first official class that I started the year with. I wish we could have finished in person, but I'm so proud of each and every one of you on the hard work, the dedication, and most importantly, I just love you guys as people for who you are. Not for your academics, but just for who you are as people. All right, take care.